Brothers and sisters, I am extremely happy having this opportunity talk or interact with, I think, a number of people who have, knowledge or different experiences. I think very significant audience. So I'm very happy. Because it seemed
happiness, out of happiness.
Out of happiness, Kaza.
In troubled times.
In troubled times. I think now we are in 21st century. I think it's a trouble or problem in the sense some kind of uncomfortable sort of problems or event. That I think always there. I feel because humanity facing some problem, some trouble. So therefore, different religious tradition, develop. If world very happy, there's no need religion. I think I'm Buddhist. Buddha came in order to reduce these sort of trouble, these suffering. So like other Mahavira, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, all these, they better for reduce the trouble. So now here, I want to share with you there are, of course, two levels of pains and the pains and the suffering. One physical level, one mental level. Usually I describe satisfaction. Satisfaction out of physical experience. That is mainly sensorial consciousness. Because they create these things. Another mental level, like our sort of experiences during dream time, no longer sort of functioning, the sensorial sort of consciousness. The experience during sleep time or dream time, actually experiencing or working the mental level. So now these two things, I feel, as far as physical level trouble, I think same, as I mentioned earlier. Perhaps in modern time, maybe even less. I think Buddha's time, a lot of sort of disease and poverty, naturally there. With that, some violence also there. In this field, disease, poverty, now today, I think comparatively much better because of progress, with help of technology and science. But on the other hand, mental level, maybe in ancient time, smaller population, their life, a little bit sort of, more relaxed. Now in modern time, lifestyle very busy, and too much sort of sense of competition, and with these things, much more stress in mental level. I think obviously now here in India or any other sort of country, I think the stress level or mental level, stress, these things, I think more sort of more stronger in those big cities, like India, I think Delhi or Bombay or Calcutta, in these places, maybe more more intense. Whereas in the rural area, the farmers, of course, they may occur physical difficulties more often, but mentally much less sort of stress, I feel. So I think the trouble in the level, mental level, maybe today was a more stronger way, more intense way. So now physical level sort of pains and difficulties, we need sort of the physical level pains in these things should sort of remove or reduce by material levels. So like pain, physical pain. Now now more than 2 weeks, you see some problem here. You see, meditation not much sort of helpful, only medicine, allopathic medicine or Tibetan medicine, like that. But now, mental level entirely depend on one's own mental attitude. I want to say one thing of that. One Shanta, there was sort of expression, I think in the 8th century, till of the Sadin did that, go yodo, Tenya Goya Kalala. Some days I'm the Goya Jang, Sadin has Yotan Das, Chikshe. Tipel Guni, Tanda to Jayundu, Kasa, Chiang Rudikada, Misubi gave us all Mungusha Yoris. Deda Shamdi Kalalans. Troy sent the chick jomna, the data to Sham the Das, data to Sham the Das, translate.
So, Shantideva says that how can one actually get a hide or to cover the whole of the land, which is covered with thorns? And if you are able to cover your own feet, your own...
It is impossible to cover whole of the planet by leather.
No, by leather. If you can cover your feet with a leather, then it would be like same as covering the whole land with leather. And so similarly, he says, there are many... the unruly beings are infinite, like the space. And so how can one actually overcome them all at once? But if you are able to overcome your own suffering, your own anger, and then that would be like overcoming the enemies or the adversaries.
I think that's very true. The troubled sort of surrounding, impossible to remove that. Some kind of problem is always there. But if you develop certain sort of right kind of attitude, I usually say realistic attitude, then it doesn't matter what's surrounding. You can keep peace of mind. So peace of mind is the basis of the healthy body and a healthy mind. Too much agitation in mental level not only suffer on mentally, but also physically, also very, very harmful. So peaceful mind, calm mind is very, very important. Firstly, for one individual, peaceful mind, and when the person, you see, facing some problems, difficulties, the problem cannot disturb your inner peace. And with that, we can utilize human intelligence more effectively. if your mental state too much disturbed, too much emotion, then very difficult to handle the problem. Because mind, too much emotion, your mind becomes biased. You can't see the reality. Without knowing the reality, every your method becomes unrealistic method. So fail, naturally. Through unrealistic method, you won't get the goal. So we must, Raskotra, oh, hello. Long time friend. If you look my face, much change or not much change? Okay. So therefore, there is sort of method to keep our mind more peaceful. And the part of our brain which develops, or what's today, which develop, I think what's the, I think calm mind, you see, calm mind, you see, immense helpful to carry our human intelligence, to judge, to investigate, to find out the reality. Too much anger, too much fear, too much attachment, then that part of our brain not function properly because too much emotion. So through that way, one my American friend, very old, when I met him, I think a few years ago, when I met him, I think his age already 84 or something. Now, he mentioned when a person develops anger, the object which, which you feel very irritated, that object appears very negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. Exactly, Buddhist sort of psychology also mentioned that. So once your mental level too much agitated, then you can't see the reality. So, peaceful mind, calm mind, that we can do. Firstly, I feel using our common sense and common experience, and also the latest scientific finding, through awareness, long-term interest, we can train our mind when we're facing some problem. We can keep our mind more calm. And experience also, you see, quite helpful when we're facing some problem. Out of your past experience, also, you see, helpful to maintain your mind calm. So that I usually call such a secular way to promote our warm-heartedness. And through that way, you can keep our mind more calm. The compassionate mind is very, very important. Fears, anger, jealousy, these based on self-centered attitude. Develop more sort of sense of, because of the caring of others' well-being. Your heart automatically open. That brings openness, so straightforward, transparent, honest. That brings friendship. We are a social animal. for individual survival entirely depend on the rest of the community. So usually, too much self-centered attitude develop distrust, suspicion. That brings fear. So more open mind. So no matter what their attitude, but your side, develop sense of concern of their well-being. Then you can keep inner peace. And sense of concern of others' well-being bring inner strength, self-confidence. So any social animal, I think like bees or ants, those social animals, they have no religion, no constitution, no law, but they work together. Nature creates like that way. So we are also a social animal. But because of our intelligence, sometimes, and intelligence with short-term interest, narrow-mindedness, and the negative emotion, is sometimes forgetting our basic nature. So in any way, compassionate attitude is the one key factor to develop calm mind. Because calm mind is very much related with self-confidence. Then, this is number one. Then second, various different religious traditions. Among the different religious traditions, there are two kinds. One, theistic religion, believe God, creator. So it's a total submission to God. Also, you see, same effect to reduce self-centered attitude. And then all the major religious traditions carry the message of love, compassion, forgiveness. So one of my Muslim friends once told me, the true practitioner of Islam should extend love towards entire creatures. Like that, all religion, you see, carry the message of importance of love, compassion, these things. So, the philosophical view, creator, we all are creations. So we totally submit to God. That reduce self-centered attitude. And God is infinite love. So more faith towards God. And I think that like Christianity, this very life created by God. So you get the sort of intimacy feeling towards God. That also powerful sort of method, more willingness to follow God's sort of guidance way. Then another religion, that's non-theistic. Buddhism, Jainism. No concept of God, creator. Buddha, our teacher, experienced teacher. So Buddha showed us a path according to his own sort of experiences. Buddha himself come from ordinary sentient being, eventually become Buddha, not creator. So things are due to law of causality by nature. Cause, effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Quite similar to that of Darwinian theory. So that's a non-theistic religious sort of viewpoint. So now everything depends on action. Karma means action. If you do good thing to other, you get benefit. If you do harm other, you get negative consequences. So knowing that sort of law of causality and reduce harming other and extend as much you can to serve, to bring happiness to other. So different method, but same purpose. So that also very powerful. I myself, you see, I think firstly, my mother, very, very kind mother, So I always telling people, certain amount of my sort of compassion here. Firstly, I received from my mother. So I think here, in this room, I think maybe a few hundred people, everybody come from our mother. At the young age, we survived by mother's affection and someone else, sort of, and also some relatives like that. So everyone received at that time the maximum affection from our mother. That experience really absorbed in every particle of our body. So therefore, now the latest sort of what is scientific sort of medical scientific sort of finding, and also the brain specialist, they say the constant fear, anger, actually eating our immune system. When more calm mind, more compassionate mind, sometimes even increasing this positive element within the body. So because this body, you see, develop throughout the mother's affection. So the person who received maximum affection from mother at the early age, this person, the rest of their life, deep inside, more safe. Those people who at that time lack of affection from our mother, or sometimes bully, abuse way. Then you see these people, no matter how sort of smart, deep inside, some kind of the sense of insecurity. So their whole life remain a little bit cold. Response, difficult to response, genuine sense of compassion towards others. But those people who received maximum affection, you see, they can much easier to extend their love and compassion. And physically, as I mentioned earlier, you see, one example, my friend, one Tibetan monk, I often see telling people, as an example, he spent about 20 years, I think about 18, 19 years in Chinese Gulag after 59. And early 80, with some other Tibetan, also then allowed the new policy led by Deng Xiaoping, so open, a little easier. So that monk also eventually come to India and joined his previous monastery. Since I know very well that person, so one day we casual talk, and then he mentioned during 18, 90 years in Chinese Gulag, he faces some danger, few occasions. I thought maybe danger on his life. And I asked, what kind of danger? And he mentioned danger of losing compassion towards Chinese. So they consider it's very important to keep compassionate attitude towards perpetrator. So result, that person still alive, now I think 95 or 94. His physical, very well. On his head, I think white hair, I think much less than me. He always jovial. And sometimes, you see, after our sort of meeting with scientists, I casually mentioned that. So after that, some scientists actually want to meet such people. Then they met. They found extraordinarily such people, no sign of traumatic experiences. So their mind very calm, very happy, very compassionate. So that's one example. Keep here, more positive attitude here. The maximum benefit goes to yourself. So like that. So that's one way. Conclusion, the religious believer, if they sincerely practice immense benefit to reduce the stress or worry, mental level. And then the non-believer, through awareness, through deeper understanding about the function of emotion, with help of scientific finding, we can develop more open-minded, more warm-hearted, warm-heartedness like that. So that I try to share with thousands of people. Everybody wants happy life and a healthy body. So the ultimate sort of factor for healthy mind, healthy body is within ourselves. No need money. just to utilize our inner these value through awareness. So here I want to share with you. Last is, I think, 4,000 years, the people, put all our hope on faith and prayer to God. Of course, individual peace of mind, the faith, very, very useful, and prayer also very useful, very helpful. But in the sense of the well-being of community or world, prayer, there's a limitation. The other day in Patna, the present chief minister built one Buddhist vihara, temple. And he invited me. I went there. Then in his speech, he mentioned with Buddha's blessing, Bihar state more rapidly prosper. Then when my turn speech, I know Chief Minister very well. So I told him, if Buddha's blessing can develop the state, then Bihar state much earlier should develop. Because Buddha's blessing always there. But Buddha's blessing need human action. Without human action, Buddha's blessing not much effective. Is it? So I think all other faith, similar. God, very merciful, but full of problem on this planet, within his own creature, like that. So therefore, action is very important. Action depends on our motivation. With negative emotion, harmful action. Positive emotion, constructive action. Verbal action as well as physical action. So I think. So my point is, so then last about 2 centuries, science and technology develop. So as I mentioned earlier, so technology brought what we want immediately. I think 1,000 years we pray to God, but fail to materialize. But technology brought these things, our health improve, or because of the economy prosperous, also is come many things. So logically, people is relying more and more about science and technology and forgetting our inner value. Now, later part of 20th century, now people say, getting some sort of experience, some sort of awareness through their own experience, there is a limitation about material value. So my friend, maybe billionaire, very rich, but as a person, very unhappy person, too much stress, too much worry. So the large number of sort of money fail to bring inner peace. It's very clear. I think among Indians also, I think the same experience. So therefore, there are now more and more people, now new awareness. Oh, material development, very important, but material value alone will not solve our problem, will not bring real happiness, real satisfaction. So we need some sort of effort for development of inner sort of values, irrespective whether religious person or a non-believer. That's, I think, some new sort of new development like that. So I want to share material facility provide us physical comfort. The mental level comfort must develop through training of mind. And world peace also, you see, genuine peace through inner peace. So that's very clear. So then lastly, I want to share, I believe, world belongs people, not government, I feel. And real change of the world, I think people should carry more active role. I think the later part of 20th century, many positive change happen, not by government level, or of course not by violence, but through popular non-violent movement. Many positive change happen. So in future, now this 21st century, only 10 years passed. Now 90 years is yet to come. So whether this century should be a peaceful century or century of bloodshed, ultimately depend on people. So we are part of the people, and we must recognize when we say people means combination of individual. So the real sort of change or initiative start from individual. Then in the family, in the community, like that way, there is possibility, change of this world, more compassionate world, peaceful world. Whenever face some problems, not using force, but through dialogue. Then I think we can really develop this century, peaceful century. So that's everybody's interest. And also everybody has some potential, make some contribution for that. So that I want to share with you. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness, for such an inspiring address, and thank you for agreeing to take questions. Before we go to questions from the audience, I just wanted to tell you that I'd like people to ask questions and not make mini speeches, please, and also identify yourselves. I'll start with the first question. Your Holiness, many surveys across the world have shown that today's youth is increasingly disenchanted, and there's a high feeling of loneliness and disaffection with everything around, and there's this whole quest for authenticity in a world which many believe is over-commercialized. India, we have about nearly 50% of our population is under 25, and this is the future youth of India. How do you suggest we engage with the youth and address these issues?
I think basically, as I mentioned already, it working? Whole our sort of our thinking is too much relying on material sort of what's the value. That also, I think, I usually describe my generation. So I think some of you see, they belongs more or less same age with me. So we belongs to 20th century, a century of violence. According to some historian, there were over 200 millions of people killed in 20th century through violence, including civil war and world war and these things. If these violence, immense violence, including using nuclear weapon, if achieved some permanent peace, some permanent sort of happiness, and then there can be some justification, but not faith. That's not because of that. It not happen. So still problems there. So now we generation, including myself, who belongs to 20th century, I think we create that past century or century of bloodshed. Now it is our responsibility to tell younger generation material sort of the development alone or weapon, including nuclear weapons, won't solve human problem. Human problem can solve with full cooperation, with trust, mutual trust, and genuine friendship. And any conflict, potential of conflict, must solve through dialogue. So I often tell you, this century, 21st century, should be century of dialogue. So I think our generation, because of the share younger generation, our generation's way of thinking is some way failed to bring a happy world. So these younger generation now must pay more attention about our inner value. This is how I feel. So I think younger generation are following our generation's sort of way of life. More money, more power, and in order to get power and money, corruption. Almost now, normal way. So all these, if people not taking much sort of serious about our inner value, then there is no basis of moral principle. So through that way, whatever method, bully, exploitation, telling lie, or even a religious leader, pretend some very holy, and actually aiming more money or more power sometimes. So I think in the 20th century, I think a lot of artificial things, a lot of hypocrisy, I think that failed bring real sort of happy world. So I think we must be realistic. We must accept our failure. Then tell our younger generation, now this is our failure. Now you have the responsibility to build more new, healthy world. So all responsibility remain on their shoulder. So not only is it thinking about external values, but should be more in our in inner values, as just I mentioned. So seems to see, whether in America, in Europe, and this country also, you see, seems to see more young people, seems more open. So of course, naturally, lack of sort of what's the experience. So sometimes a little bit impatience. They want something now. So that's my view.
Thank you.
So the media people, like your own Houston time, I think media people have very important role to educate public and television, isn't it? So very, very important. So we are not sort of preaching religion, but simply using our common sense and common experience and latest scientific finding, then educate them. The religious faith is individual business. Some people feel to believe much more comfortable. Let them take some religion. But ordinary people, I think nearly 7 billion human beings, I think large portion of nearly 7 billion, I think essentially non-believer. So we must educate them. This is my feeling.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Questions from the audience?
Indian tradition. My name is Rajiv. I am in civil service.
Excuse me, I've already...
I think you said that
no,
I was standing here for some time.
I pointed out here.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
Please. I'll come
So maybe next question.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Where?
Yeah. Holiness has taught us compassion, so you can start.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. My question is that in Indian tradition, as well as in most of the other languages of the world, we come across the word destiny. And destiny, or we call it bhagya in Hindi. It figures now and then. So when we talk about action in the affairs of human beings, how much is this role of destiny and how much of action? And whether only action is there and there is nothing about destiny, or there is a mix of two.
Oh. If you believe creator, that creator creates some kind of destination. That's something different. But if you ask me, my personal sort of view, everything depends on its own causes, condition. Among the causes and condition, main factor for our sort of experience of pains and pleasure, karma. Karma means action. From the Buddhist viewpoint, certain level of destination due to our previous karma which we accumulated in past lives, several past lives. But that, with new action, with new karma, we can change. So ultimately, one's own destination is entirely in your own hand. So that's Buddhist view. Marbe? No. So generally, our destination is the happy life. Marbe? I think for Buddhist, I usually telling people from Buddhist viewpoint, and particularly Sanskrit tradition's viewpoint, our destination is Buddhahood. That's too far.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Suhail?
Your Holiness, you're more than an apostle of peace. You've been an apostle of compassion for the world. What are your views on succession planning? Because you've left and you have created this amazing legacy. Do you have any thoughts about who would be the next Dalai Lama?
That's not, for me, not a serious question. It looks as the Chinese government, they are really seriously looking about the next Dalai Lama. I made very clear, as early as, I think Raskotra maybe know, I think maybe remember, as early as 69, I publicly stated officially whether the century-old Dalai Lama institution should continue or not up to Tibetan people. If majority of the Tibetan people, and also some concerns of the people like Mongolian and also Himalayan range sort of people who share same Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So majority of them feel now Dalai Lama institution is no longer much relevant, then automatically cease. If they want to keep this one, then it will be alive. So there's not much important about Tibetan Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhist culture or Tibetan nation. Last few centuries, Dalai Lama institution carries some sort of important role. But things are always changing. So it is quite silly, you see, to think this old institution is must preserved. That's foolish, silly. Something like that. And depend on the circumstances. If I die next few days, then I think most probably people want to keep this institution. After 20, 30 years, then maybe different situation. But as far as the Tibetan sort of struggle is concerned, since 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. So every 5 years, through election, you see new leadership come. They carry their responsibility. And since then, my position is semi-retired position. Then spirituality, because of the Tibetan spirituality is concerned, all different Tibetan Buddhist tradition, like yellow hat sect, or red hat sect, and because of black hat sect, these things, they now, younger generation, age between 20, 30, very healthy potential spiritual leaders now coming. So I have no worry. Like that. I think as far as Dalai Lama institution is concerned, I think more concerned Chinese mind, communist mind, than me. Like that.
I'm afraid we are running out of time. I can take one more question.
Gautam Chikarmane from Hindustan Times. Sir, I wanted to know that there are more than 4,000 religions today, if you count all the sects and subsects. Despite that, there is no compassion, no peace. Do you think organized religion has failed society totally?
Oh, we can't say total failure. No. I think at least for me, Buddhism not failed. In my day-to-day life, very helpful. Then many sort of, I think at this time, millions of people are still receiving immense sort of benefit from these, this religious tradition. Sometimes, I think even among Tibetan also, sometimes you see we just carry sort of religion as a ceremonial way or ritual without touching the real sort of meaning. And then religion also used for exploitation. So therefore, whether we accept religion or not, up to individual. Once you accept religion, you should be serious and sincere and full of knowledge about one's own religious sort of tradition is very important. I often telling my Indian friend, you see, recite some Sanskrit shloka, few shlokas of Sanskrit, reciting, but without knowing the meaning. And not much sort of useful, isn't it? One Sadaji here in Golden Temple, you see, they read always the Sikhism sort of what they holy. But I don't know whether they really implement what state in the book, holy book. So we Buddhists also. So the knowledge, I just returned from Japan. Japan, traditionally Buddhist country, but they, I think I want just to share. This is not serious, a joke, I think, half joke. Even some Japanese here. It's okay, no problem. I heard, you see, some Japanese, you see, at the time of birth, they carry ritual according Shintoism, the native religion. Then at the time of marriage, they carry ceremonial according Christianity. Then at the time of death, the ceremony according Buddhism. So what is that? Not really serious, isn't it? Not very serious. So therefore, I feel some problems there, even those, among those believers, some naked people there, that we can't say failure of religious teaching, but failure the person who suppose follow of that religion but not implement sincerely. This is my feeling. And some minors or believe religion, that's a different matter. I usually call major religious tradition. That means religious faith with certain sort of theology or certain philosophy. Like many Hinduism, there's a lot of philosophical sort of views. And then, of course, Buddhism, a lot of philosophy. And I usually divided Buddhist sort of, the text. Text. One, simply mention about human psychology, human emotion, and the function of the emotion. That I consider Buddhist science, not Buddhist religion. And also a Buddhist literature, much sort of explanation about matters, particles, like that. Then Buddhist philosophy, just some kind of sort of analyze on the basis of reality, on the basis of science. So that's Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist concept. So like a concept of interdependency. There is no absolute existence. Everything interdependent. So that's Buddhist word, patit samupad. Sanskrit word, patit samupad. Dependent and arising. So that's many scientists very fond about that concept. And that concept also, you see, very close sort of concept about the quantum physics, theory of relativity, like that. Then Buddhist religion. So, unless we know the foundation of these sort of Buddhist concept, then Buddhism, practice of Buddhism is just like ritual. Not much use, not effect in our mind. So usually I describe the Buddhist system is utilize human intelligence maximum way and then transform our emotion. So many other religions also use the same. See, knowing fuller picture, then you get real conviction. Real conviction brings real enthusiasm, sincere enthusiasm to implement. So that's, I think, lacking. Many Hindu temples, just some rituals without much sort of explanation. One time, I think more than 20 years ago, I met some Thai student who studied Chandigarh University. He came to see me. You see, their family background, Buddhist, but they do not know what is Buddhism. So Thai monasteries in Thailand, you see, not explaining to ordinary people about Buddhism. They simply carry some rituals, some chanting in the monastery. Of course, some monastery, monastic universities also there. I think that may be different. So like that. So then they say, Christians, they sort of explaining because of the concept of that religion. So whereas Buddhism, you see, their native religion, or their traditional religion, they complain. It's not adequate sort of explanation they receive like that. So that's my view. So I often, here now, I often describe myself as a messenger of India, ancient Indian sort of treasure. That means wherever I go, I talk about ahimsa, non-violence. Non-violence action. That non-violent action related with compassionate mind. Where compassionate mind there, non-violence action is come. Like that. I always is telling non-violence, ahimsa. Number one, sort of my sort of commitment. Number two commitment is religious harmony. In this country, I think the only country on this planet, beside a homegrown religion, all major world religious traditions live together. Occasionally, there's some problem. That's, of course, understandable. You know, over now billion human population, some mischievous people always there. So some problems happen. But overall picture, I think that this is the country, only country where all major religious traditions live together, mutual respect. So this is really wonderful. So these two things, wherever I go, I always telling India as an example. So I describe myself as a messenger of ancient Indian thought. Okay. So, and then also I further describe, I'm son of India. So one day, one Chinese, the reporter asked me, why you say you are son of India? Then I explained. Here, within this skull, my brain, I think every sort of particle of brain fulfilled Nalendra thought. Then this physical, last 51 years, that's major portion of my life. I escaped from Tibet age 24. Now, at that time, over 73, now 75. So last 51 years, 50 years, this body survived by Indian dals, Indian rice. So therefore, I describe myself as a son of India. Isn't it? Then he remained quiet. I think he understands my logic, my reason like that. So in any way, so I want to share with our Indian friend, you must, you see, realize your traditional value. And meantime, within the country, some drawbacks like caste system or or dowries. This is some of these things, even if sometimes you see it reported in newspaper. So these we must address very seriously to change these things. And the political or sort of other field also like Naxalite or Maoist sort of movement. I think, you see, the area where a lot of suffering. I heard this is some area. Now, since this country got independence, now much development, big cities now developed there, but some of the area still no electricity, no proper school. So that's why, you see, in this area, so some people who have different interests easily manipulate. So sending more Indian police, not answer. Must lift their sort of living standard and provide education facility and electricity, these things. Then these problems reduce. So I think some problem within the country, I want to urge you, please pay more attention and not just a few nice words, but do something. Some organization really, you see, carrying some work. But this country, huge country, we need a lot of effort, more people like that. That I want. As a son of India, this is my appealing. And also, you see, I always describe we Tibetan, we are Buddhist. So Buddhism comes from India. And all the Buddhist masters like Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, Buddhapalita, these masters of text is real our Khazoda. The real text of our study. I'm a lazy student, but I study these root text. So therefore, we consider Indians our guru. So our relation, Indian and Tibetan, like relation between guru and chela. So sometimes I jokingly telling people, we are quite a reliable chela. You know, after you see 8th century, 9th century, many Buddhist literature, and also including some Hindu literature translated into Tibetan. Then, after 10th century, 11th century, you see a lot of sort of, the ups and downs, at least Buddhism in this country. All these treasure we kept intact up to now. So that means we are quite reliable chela. So some occasion when I have sort of, because of the gathering among the sadhus and the religious leaders, so I often is telling, I really feel proud as a messenger of ancient Indian thought. But meantime, within the country, some still drawbacks or backwardness in the name of tradition. This must address seriously, change. Even if it's 1,000-year-old tradition, but some tradition, outdated, must change. We must accept the reality. That's, I think, very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness. Thank you.